Hey, creative friends. Well, it's been a while since I have tried leather, but I am coming back and trying leather today now that I know more about this machine and what the settings do. Um, so this is vegetable tanned leather, 2 to 3 ounce, and if this works, I am going to try to make a keychain and have it cut out the design that I'll fold over, and I can put the ring there where it folds over. And then I've designed this to where there's also little tiny holes, which I'm hoping will be like the sewing holes. And so we're going to see if we can get this to cut. I have never successfully gotten leather to cut. I'm currently running this at 90% laser power at, let's see, 90% laser power at 90 milliseconds for burning time, just using the standard Neje application on a Windows laptop. And so I will see how well this will work. It's probably going to take a couple of passes to get it to cut all the way through the leather. And if this works, I'll share the file and then share with you some tips at the end. But fingers crossed that this will work. This is pass number 1. Okay, pass number 1 is finished. That took about 5 minutes and 15 seconds, and it has not cut all the way through. My design is not perfect. All these little holes, some of them are probably too close to the edge. And again, I just kind of put this together real quickly because I wanted to hurry up and get out to see if it will cut. But so far, it has not cut. 1 pass. Now, the leather also was fully wet. I put it completely under the sink water, under running water, both sides, front and back, and got it fully saturated, and it is still wet to the touch. And again, there's going to be quite a bit of smoke residue since I do not have air assist, but I'm going to try 1 more pass, maybe 2 more passes, and then we'll see how this works. Okay, so that finished pass 2, and I will show you just a second, but first let me go to the laptop and I'll show you these settings. Again, so that was 90% power, burning time 90 milliseconds. It took about 5 minutes, 15 seconds per time. And then whenever I brought this image in, again, if you get my image down below, the text file, change the extension to NC, and then you can bring it in on the CNC tab. And then whenever you come in, it's going to be larger. I designed it larger in Inkscape. Sometimes that allows the laser engraver extension to do a better job. So I designed it larger, and so whenever you bring it in, I change my width to 50 millimeters across. And so you can play around with that width to get the size of keychain you want. I don't know if it's going to go any smaller because, again, my circles, you know, are imperfect and they're pretty close to the edge. So I don't know if you're going to be able to get it any closer. But again, I am actually pretty surprised because look at this. 2 passes. Again, this vegetable tan leather was wet, soaking wet, both sides, front and back. And it looks like the outline, at least, is cut all the way through. So I'm so excited. So here, let me, it's not, you know, it's not perfect because I think there's going to be a lot of smoke residue. Again, I did not have this lifted up off the board. So if you lift it up off the board, you can probably get a cleaner burn. But, you know, that's actually not too bad. And I will take this back to the sink and wash it off. And then these holes are the tricky part. So let's see, does it look like, it looks like these tiny little holes did burn through, almost all of them. So I'll have to come in with a poker, something to poke these out. Like there's a few that have already come out completely, and I think I can poke the rest of these out. And so here's the idea. You can cut this and use these holes to stitch it up, maybe. I don't know that the holes are going to be perfect whenever you fold it. The holes may not match up perfectly. I hope they will. They'll be pretty close. And then I can see one thing on my design already. This should have been longer. So whenever we fold that over, it would give us more room. But honestly, I don't know. I think I could get a keychain in there. And then sew that together and then come back or do it first, engrave a design in either side or both, and then sew this together, and you've got a keychain. Alright, so I will continue working on this a little bit and then show you some after pictures at the end. Okay, so now I came back and I'm just doing a quick engraving on this piece of leather that I managed to get to cut out in just 2 passes. I really can't believe that cut out in 2 passes. I've done some other leather tests a while back and wasn't successful, so I don't know, maybe I just have a better focus, and the leather being completely soaked may have helped, and just yeah, I'm just so excited. So now I'm coming back and doing a simple engraving. Probably could have made this engraving a little bit larger, but that's okay. It's currently at 10% power and 4 milliseconds. And whenever I first started it, I think I had it at 4 and 4, and so that 4% laser was not enough, so I stopped it and bumped it up to 10. So once this finishes, I will have to go back and get the top of the image at 10. And again, you can do that as long as you don't move it at all. Then you can run it a second pass and go as far as you need, and then just stop the laser design. But this looks like it's close to being finished. And then I'll zoom in a little bit better. Yeah, excellent. So again, I could have made that little image a little bit bigger, but I managed to get it centered pretty well. I'm surprised. So can you, some of you know already exactly what image that is, but can you guess what state flag that is? All right, so now they're at the top of the circle. I'm going to come back and start it again and get that top part finished. And then who knows, this is going really quickly, so I may just come in and put something, maybe my initial B over here on the other side. All right. Okay, and then here's the other side. I just put my B on here, and it's not very dark. Again, that's a very fine font with those little wisps to the B. So I think I'm going to go over it again, because whenever I take this under the sink with a soft toothbrush, a lot of that is going to wash away. So I'm going to go over it one more time. And again, I was just using 10%. So I'm going to keep it at 10%. And I think it was 4 milliseconds speed or burning time. And so I'm going to go over this again, and then I'm losing light here in the garage, so I'm going to let this dry for a day. I'm going to wash it off tonight, let it dry for a day. I may come and color the leather and then stitch it up, but if I can get that finished soon, then I will finish with some final pictures. Thanks for watching. Okay, so I just washed it off under the sink with a soft toothbrush and was able to punch out all the rest of these holes with this tool I found at Dollar Tree. And so I'm going to let this just sit and dry for a day. Okay, so this has had a day to dry, and it looks really nice as is. I'm glad a lot of that smoke residue did come off. Now the edges will be very charred, but that's kind of a nice effect. And of course you could always trim that off if you didn't like it. And then you can certainly leave this with a natural vegetable tanned leather. Vegetable tanned leather will age, and it will get a nice patina as it ages, and it'll turn, you know, a shade of a darker brown. And so you can certainly leave it natural, but I am going to go ahead and just use some of this Echelene watercolor. I've had good success with this, even on leather. Now, of course, they make leather dyes, and some of them are even water-based, but I'm going to use this Echelene watercolor and I've had some success with this. This was a test piece I did several weeks ago, and it has stained the leather nicely, and it has stayed in there. So I'm going to give it a couple of coats of this blue, and we will go from there. Okay, so I've just done 3 coats of this blue and really saturated the leather. And it looks very, very dark, but I do believe that this is going to lighten as the watercolor dries. So I'm going to now let this sit again for quite a while. Okay, so the watercolor has dried for a day, and it did not lighten up too much. Again, I had three saturated coats of watercolor on this, so it is a little bit darker than what my sample was here. I think this was only 2 very light coats, so you can certainly get these watercolors whatever strength you want. You can water them down with water, or leave them very saturated color like this came out. But I do like this dark blue. And so now I am going to take some super sheen and cover the leather, and that will help protect it. This will give it, again, a little bit of a shine to it. And then I am probably also going to use some leather conditioner, all different brands. This one just happened to be with some furniture that we have, but any leather conditioner should work, and that'll help make it feel more supple again and give it a nice feel to it. And so I'm going to do both of those treatments and then let this dry again. And then whenever I come back and stitch it up, that'll probably be the last video clip I'll get. But to stitch this up, you do want to make sure you've got leather thread. It's a special waxed thread, and that way it holds very nicely, and you can burn the edges so that you don't have any fraying, and it just works great for leather. And there are proper sewing techniques for leather, like a saddle stitch. I'm not going to show you that, but there's some great videos where you can go and look that up. They do it with 2 needles, and so you pull from one side and then from the other, and then pull it nice and tight, and so it makes a very good stitch. So I have 2 different colors of thread, this brown and the red. I'm not sure what I'm going to use yet, but both of them did come from Tandy leather. All right, so I will go put the leather protectant on it and stitch it up. Alright, so here is the final product all stitched up. I've actually had it on my keychain for several days and in and out of my purse, and it's holding up well. The stitching is a little bit wonky, but that's okay. And the holes, as I stitched it up, the holes don't match perfectly. So if I redesign this, I have a few things that I want to tweak. Perhaps make this a little bit taller, although I like it kind of squatty like this. But perhaps make this a little bit longer, and then definitely take more time to get the holes further away from the edge, or at least the same distance from the edge. And then also make sure that when it's folded over, the holes match up perfectly. I had not taken the time to do that for my first design. But again, I love the color. I think the super sheen and the leather protectant will work just fine. That way it has a nice hand to it now. It feels good. And it's a little bit water protection there with the super sheen. It gives it a little bit of water resistance. And then again, also, since my holes don't match up perfectly, I do have kind of an overlap here as it's stitched. This side you can see it a lot better. I think what I'll do is just go right here and put some more watercolor on that edge so it doesn't look quite so bad. But if I take the time to redesign another file, then I will share it with you. But as it is, this file I will put down below. And just let me know if you have any questions about how to get that file and how to use it in your Neje software. Just let me know. But otherwise, thanks so much for watching. I know this has been a long video, but I'm just so excited about being able to do new possibilities with very thin leather.
Always make sure you get vegetable tanned leather. Stay away from foam leather and chrome leather, because those have chemicals in them, which you don't want to laser those. So vegetable tan leather, though, is the way to go. All right, thanks again so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon.